Aita for saying my wife could have enlarged her boobs. My sister and I are arguing. I don't think him the asshole, but my sister said him an asshole and my wife deserves better. My wife had a double mastectomy and reconstruction within the last 6 months. She really struggled the first few months with insecurity when she was going to get the reconstruction done. I told her I really wanted her to get them bigger. She didn't, and while I was bummed I didn't say anything about it to her. My parents and sister came over today and saw her for the first time since her surgeries. My ma was saying how she looked exactly the same and I jokingly said right, she could have had an insurance paid boob job. Apparently that was a bad thing to say. My wife started crying and said it was a dick move for me to have suggested it in the first place, knowing how insecure she felt, and it sucked. I was still hung up on it. My sister jumped all over my ass and I was such an asshole and my wife could do better. I said my wife was just being emotional and now even my dad's mad at me. And when I ask what I said that was so wrong, my dad says he didn't raise a moron. Was what I said really so offensive? Aita, speaking as someone that has had a double mastectomy and breast reconstruction, there is a lot to deal with mentally, since one of the main things that defines/identifies us as a woman has been taken away. Not to mention, if they take the nipples too, we look in the mirror and it's like a kid's doll that is not anatomically correct. The initial surgery is horribly painful. The expanders are uncomfortable. And the reconstruction is just that. Reconstruction. Not augmentation. Also, there are standard sizes of breast implants, which is what insurance will cover. Some people will not even be as big as they were before the mastectomy, since getting an 800cc implant after all your breast tissue and fat has been removed is not as drastic as getting an 800cc implant during an augmentation. Not to mention, if she just had the implant procedure done, she might still have procedures ahead of her. There could be scar revisions, or she could need to get liposuction and have the fat redeposited in her breast area so they will look more natural, and lipo makes it feel like you got run over by a truck. So yeah, Aita, thank you so much for elaborating on this topic. I have always had so many questions about this particular type of surgery, but never known anyone who has had it. And if I did, I'd honestly just be too horrified to ask, because it must be a very traumatic event. Aita, your wife's going through a tough time after a major surgery and all you can talk about is how you want her to have bigger boobs. Aita, I'm sorry for your dad, but he did raise her inconsiderate idiot. Your sister is right. Your wife deserves better. Aita, you basically just told your wife at the worst time in her life that you were never happy with a part of her body that women are already conditioned to be insecure about. How would you like it if you had dick cancer and she was like lol, get a new one that isn't a micro dick? Also, if everybody around you says Aita, then Aita, this right here. He's basically saying her current boobs and her natural boobs, which she no longer has due to a traumatic illness, were never good enough for him. And he gives zero shits about how she feels about her body or what makes her feel good. I'd venture to say that a majority of women would rather have their natural breasts, or an approximation, than the boob job look he acts like, because bigger breasts would be preferable to him. Obviously they'd be preferable to her because her body is for his pleasure, not hers. F this guy. I'm honestly heartbroken for Op's wife. What a shitty, horrible thing to say to your wife who's just gone through a life-threatening event and is having to put her life back together. She had to confront her own mortality, and all he's concerned about is why didn't she get bigger boobs. I wonder if Op knows that women voluntarily get breast reduction surgeries? Aita, you are so much the asshole. It's unbelievable. I hope with all my heart that you're a troll. How could you think for even 1 second that it was acceptable to insert your opinion at any point? She does deserve better, and that's not saying much at all. B/C, this behavior is disgusting. Aita, if you are not a troll, the fact that you don't see how you have been the asshole in this situation is really sad. You need to do better. Aita, what the FCK is wrong with you? Dude, your wife undergoes a traumatic surgery, and the only thing you can think of is big titties? Have some basic human empathy, FFS. She had to have 2 very important parts of anatomy amputated and reconstructed. She's likely still in enormous pain. She had her breasts removed. FFS. Her breasts. Can you imagine how traumatic that is? and you're whining about cup size. The poor woman deserves a divorce. Imo. And said she was just being emotional and pretty much implied it's her fault she's upset by what he's saying. So he thinks her feelings don't really matter cause she's emotional and prioritizes his own sexual desires over her trauma, pain, and insecurities. Not to mention I'm assuming she got the mastectomy for emergency health reasons. He's not just a moron. He's a selfish, sexist moron. This isn't the first disagreement they've had by a long shot. Poor woman must be used to him constantly downplaying her feelings, and I assume opinions, since he's only made this post now thanks to his family inputting. Right? Of course she was emotional. People typically experience emotions when other people are jerks to them. When she was going to get the reconstruction done, I told her I really wanted her to get them bigger. Way to make her trauma about you. Obviously, she's dealing with health issues, since you don't have a mastectomy just because. She's dealing with stress and anxiety and pain, and you thought it was good idea to suggest she change herself for your pleasure? Do you understand the selfishness of that? She needs your empathy and emotional support, not to feel like an object to you. Aita, how could you ask your wife, whom you will spend the rest of your life with, to change themselves for your benefit? Have you ever considered that maybe you contribute to her insecurity? Well, Aita, but here's some irony. While you wish your wife had bigger boobs, she wishes you were a smaller R. Aita, imagine you had surgery done on your dick. It'd be quite embarrassing, right? I'm sure you wouldn't want anyone teasing you about it. Now imagine that the surgery involved removing your dick and replacing it with a prosthetic. You'd feel pretty broken, right? That's your manhood gone. You'd probably feel a lot less attractive after going through that. Not to mention feeling like you've lost part of yourself. Now imagine your wife asked you to get a bigger prosthetic rather than going with your original size. That would suck. Not only have you been through invasive surgery and lost a big part of yourself, but now your wife is telling you you're unattractive and were too small for her liking even before the surgery. That's how you've made your wife feel. A bit of empathy would go a long way. Ignore the sickness, the surgery, or the backstory. Aita for making a comment about your wife smaller than you want them to be boobs in front of your dad. Now add on the backstory. Guess what? You're still the asshole. Adding on the backstory makes up an even bigger R. Forget the life-threatening illness, awful treatment and scarring surgery. This is about what /I want. Right? JFC. Aita, boy, you are a moron. Apologize to your wife immediately. Saying she's over emotional? Question mark? Are you stupid? This has to be fake. It's not possible to be this much of an R in real life. Is it? Yeah, I'd be surprised. I've heard of men serving their wives with divorce papers as they're coming out of surgery from mastectomies due to cancer. It's sadly, and sickeningly, not an uncommon occurrence. Aita, dude, she had major surgery and I'm sure is still going through some traumatic stuff. How insensitive can you be? It's not about what you want or your desire. It's her damn body. Exclamation mark. Aita, and your dad did raise a moron. Aita, are you for real? What you did during an extremely traumatic event in your wife's life was show her that you weren't concerned with her actual health, only the size of her chest. Educate yourself on what she's been through and apologize repeatedly and hope it's enough. Aita, in the biggest way, your wife went through an extremely traumatic surgery, lost parts of her body that are representative of her femininity, and has now had to go through another surgery in order to replace those parts with something that isn't organic. Your wife is already feeling insecure about her body, with these new breasts being completely foreign reconstructions that will never feel the same to her as her natural breasts. The very least you could do is be supportive, as complimentary as you can be, and extremely gentle with her about this subject. You did the exact opposite and made her even more insecure, and you did it in front of other people. If this is any indication of how you treat your wife and the rest of your life together, your sister is 100% right and your wife deserves someone who won't make her feel like crap. If it was just a genuine mistake, I hope you learn from this and from all of these responses and are a better and more gentle husband for it. Either way, a huge apology is in order. but you've already done some irreparable damage. The fact that you don't even think it here makes me positive that your sister is right and your wife deserves better. What the duck is wrong with you? Ita, she no longer has tits, and you saying her not her original tits that she ended up with could have been bigger suggests that you aren't satisfied with the tits she ended up with and just opened her insecurities wound. Not cool. Man. It's a good lord, I don't even know where to start, except that your wife should been filed the divorce papers back when you asked her to ducking get bigger boobs in the first place. I didn't know people could be this stupid and heartless. Ita, she just wanted to feel like herself again. What she went through was terrible enough. You should have just supported whatever she wanted to do. Ita, you are being so inconsiderate to your wife, who has endured so much emotional, mental, and physical suffering, and you're not showing any empathy at all. She did not have the opportunity for a free boob job. She had the chance to eradicate something that could have potentially taken her life. Shame on you, bruh. I ducking hate you, and I don't even know who you are. Ita, my god. Do you have any idea what even goes into the surgeries that your wife has just had? Emotional, physical, all of it? All you want is for her to sport bigger boobs. You aren't just the asshole, you're like the biggest asshole the world has ever known. Jesus. Your wife had to have a double mastectomy, and you're sitting here whining because she didn't want to get bigger implants? You have to be a troll, because I can't imagine someone being so cruel to someone going through something so hard. Ita, and your sister is right. Your wife deserves better. I have very small breast. Like 78 small. I'm tiny. I once was watching a show on TV with my boyfriend, and this woman with massive boobs came onto the scene in a bikini. I sighed and said I wish my boobs were bigger, and asked my boyfriend if I should get a boob job. He looked at me all weird and said, what, why? Your boobs are perfect to me. Don't get a boob job. Fear bad for you. Your wife had a double mastectomy, and you told her you found her natural boobs unattractive. Your dad did indeed raise a moron, and your wife deserves so much better. Even your own family know this. Ita, as a boob guy myself, I would never suggest my partner get bigger boobs unless specifically asked, and if she decided not to, I would fully support her decision to, since you know I'm in love with her, not her boobs. Ita, WTF is wrong with you? Your sister is right. Your wife does deserve better than you. Much better. Ita, is your wife a human or just a sex object to you? A double mastectomy is no joke. She could have died, and all you can say is, gee, I wish you had bigger boobs. I hope she leaves you. Yeah, geez, dude, apologize to your wife immediately and profusely. Ita, this was incredibly traumatic for your wife, and instead of support she gets an asshole for a spouse complaining that she should have gotten bigger breasts to make him happy. You were incredibly offensive, to say the very least. She's not emotional. She started discovering how cruel of an asshole her husband is. Holy shit. Yes, Ita! Exclamation mark. TF, dude. Your wife went through a horribly traumatizing thing, and you know her self-esteem has suffered. And not only do you tell her that you want her to get bigger implants, you make jokes about it to other people. Exclamation mark. Have you no empathy? Exclamation mark. You should have reassured her that you think she's beautiful, and you always will, and that nothing could ever change that. Not the mastectomy. Not the reconstruction. Nothing could ever make her less beautiful to you. I don't give a shit if you mean it or not. She clearly needed reassurance, and you decide to focus on your personal preference for bigger breasts. This is so unbelievably tactless and insensitive. My heart breaks for your poor wife. You might just be one of the biggest assholes I've ever seen on this sub. I hope this isn't indicative of how you treat your wife in general. Cause she deserves better than this. Everyone deserves better than this. You majorly ducked up, and I won't blame your wife if she never forgives you. Ita, for telling your wife you wanted them bigger like she's a KFC meal while about to undergo extensive surgery. Ita, for bringing it up again in front of other people just as she's recovering. And Ita, for doing all this and then turning around and calling her emotional to dismiss her very valid reasons to be upset. And yes, your dad is right, you're a moron. I can't imagine how unappreciated and insecure you make your wife feel. Shame on you. I can't believe you're even asking Of course Ita. Yes, Ita. You not only devalued her legitimate trauma, you also suggested that you wished she was different. Ita. Dude, your wife just went through a traumatic surgery. Her body is changed permanently. She wants to go back to normalcy. She wants her body back to be close to what it was before. And now you're saying it's not good enough for you? Jesus Christ. I hope she leaves you. Ita. I mean, really? You're such a ducking asshole. Get some ducking perspective. OMG. The longer I read the more horrified I became. What a disgusting person you are. Ita. Ita. You are a major R. How could you even think there was anything alright with what you said? Semicolon. You realize you basically just told your wife I care about the size of your breasts more than your emotional health and happiness. She went through a traumatic experience. Lost a part of her body. Was able to reclaim exactly what she lost. And you were upset about that. You flat out told her that you wanted her to have larger breasts. Semicolon. How would you like it if your wife told you that what you were working with wasn't big enough? Ita. You need brain enlargement surgery ASAP because you're really stupid. Wow. Alright buddy. Let's say you had your dick lopped off in an invasive and generally traumatic surgery to stop you from dying. Then you live a little while dickless. It probably starts to get to you. Because amputations tend to cause body dysphoria when you feel like you should have a part but it's missing. All you want is to have the body you lost back so you can look and feel like you again. Your wife tells you that your dick just wasn't that impressive to begin with and you should really get a bigger one cause it's be better for her. You shoot that down because you just want to feel like yourself again. Then she calls out your average sized dick in front of her family, knowing that you are sensitive about it. Can you honestly not see how rude, dismissive, and generally cruel that is? Your wife has spent months fighting for her life, dealing with body image issues, and trying to get back on her feet and all you can think about is eye candy for sexual purposes. Ita. Mission not accomplished. Sorry ops dad. Ita. Good god. Oh my god what an asshole you make. They should break your dick so you can have an enlargement. Ita. Question. You want to know the only thing that makes Oppa bigger rather than making that comment? Then humiliating your wife by making it again in front of other people. Answer. Not knowing why making that comment. And then humiliating your wife by making it again in front of other people makes him an R. Ita. Your father is woefully wrong. He clearly raised a moron. I hope the next toxic, malignant thing she has removed from her life is you. Ita. Why are you even asking? Info. Is your father really sure you're not a moron? Ita. Fucking yikes. Dude. You're a terrible person. Be better. Bruh, how are you this tactless? Both of her tits have basically been cut off. I hope she is happy with the size she got. Your opinion does not matter on this. It's about what she needs to get through this. I'm genuinely a little angry at reading this. Ita. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.